Hi everybody, Carl Casgard of Halifax 57 Rescue here at Knox Tech at Arnprior, Ontario at the airport, and I'm here with our main man Scott Knox, who's supervising the rebuild of our Halifax bomber. And Scott, I've been helping you pop rivets and drill and everything, which is fun for me, hands-on.
Sure.
And so I know your team has been doing thousands of rivets, but I would like to explain, I'll let you give us the rundown on the advances that you've made in the last while. And then I would like to tell the folks about the exciting discoveries that I've had over in England while you were on the home front doing your thing. I was out doing recon. So we will be able to tell you that. But fill us in now on this beautiful center section and the upcoming rebuild of the Halifax.
Right. Well, since the last time we came to the video, we have been disassembling all of the trailing edge parts that we had from the donor aircraft. We've got some usable parts. We've probably got around 12 or maybe 13 usable trailing edge ribs. But we're going to need 16 for each side, so we need a total of 32. So we're going to have to get a bunch made.
And what I'll try and do while you're working here at the shop is if you give me one of those ribs, generic standard model of rib, I can go to the aircraft builders across Canada and see if we can get that assistance that we need.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, NA337 was like that. They took some parts and had some gracious support from different industries across Canada. So we'll see if we can do that same thing. So we've also been planning out where the trailing edge ribs are going to go. The donor aircraft and the Halifax are slightly different, so I have had to pick stations along here that more closely resemble those that you would find on the Halifax. So there's two main pivot points for the flap, and that location we want to make sure is per the Halifax, right? So the distance between those two pivots is 75 inches, and it's located along this distance, so we've got that in the right spot, and all the other ribs fall from that, the locations of all those ribs. Some are exactly the same as they were in the donor aircraft, some of the ones are slightly shifted. So we had to do all that math, we did the CAD work for that, and now we're taking a close look at the ribs that we have and then determining if they're usable or not and how much work is going to be required for each one. And I've been starting to mount them as well, just as a test mount, and building bracketry. All the brackets that were originally on the donor aircraft were all cut. They were hacked through, so unfortunately they're not usable, but they're pretty easy to fabricate. It's just a matter of doing the right math and getting it to work right. So yeah, it's coming along. And so tell us about some of the things you're finding and looking further down the road, some of the things we need to plan for in the future.
Well, yeah, and what I've done is I've been doing recon in England and Holland, and of course we've got our parts in Sweden that will be coming back to the rebuild shop here from Sweden in the summer of 2023. But I really got lucky. I met Andy Ward, and he's the 3D printing expert, and he's been able to print us 3D propellers. But the big discovery was with these 3D propellers, I was able to go to the Yorkshire Air Museum, and they've traded us 3D printed propellers. We're getting a 25-foot outer wing panel for a Hastings,
wow,
which, as you and I talked about, is almost identical to the Halifax.
Yeah.
And so what we'll be able to do is get that wing over here, and then we can build our intermediate wing based on what we've got here plus the outer wing.
Exactly. No, and those are big constructions. That's going to save us probably thousands of hours.
Thousands of hours,
fabrication,
yeah.
And that's a brilliant find.
So yeah, that's the outer wing panel from the Yorkshire Air Museum. But wait, there's more. I found another outer wing panel that's on the other side of the aircraft. We've got the port outer wing panel from Yorkshire Air Museum, and I've located a starboard outer wing panel that could be the twin sister and could add 50 feet to the wingspan
Brilliant.
of our Halifax.
That's excellent.
So, but, you know, looking at all these parts here, you know, I keep going out there to bring them home to the home fort. And what we did find was 12 brand new in crates propeller blades that fit a Halifax bomber. Now, horse trading. I trade you a horse, you give me a horse. They wanted Harvard parts and miscellaneous Merlin parts at this museum, the Newark Air Museum, just in northern England. And so I gathered everything they wanted. And then I pulled up in my van one day and they gave me 12 brand new blades that fit a Halifax. And folks, you will never, you can look for 10 or 20 years and you will probably never find Halifax propeller blades. So, you know, it's really good to be able to add on to the treasure we've got already. And another thing is I'm working in Nanton with the Bristol Hercules engines. And Skysport Engineering in England gave us 5 leading edge cowls for the front of the Bristol Hercules. And remember, they're kind of a weird and wonderful shape, and they're actually an exhaust pipe. The leading edge of the cowling is an exhaust pipe for a Bristol Hercules. So I got 5 of those to make 4 leading edges, which is all part of the airframe. You got to have the structure.
And those aren't easy to come by. I mean,
No.
you know, that's something you just don't get down to Walmart and pick those up.
No, not even Canadian Tire doesn't carry
No,
them.
eh?
No. So, but we've got the 5 engine cowls, and you and I are going down to Connecticut, probably in about a month's time, and we've bought another Bristol Hercules engine, firewall forward. That means everything, right up to the engine shaft. We got a complete one for $6,000.
Brilliant.
Which, as you know, remember we need the sleeves, and maybe we can save the engine. But now, folks, we got 8 Hercules engines for a Halifax to make 4 runners. So major steps forward.
Brilliant.
And so I'm quite pleased about that. And I'm working on the engines in Nanton at the Bomber Command Museum, and what we've done is over the past 3 or 4 years we've run number 1 Hercules on the engine run trailer, and what's happened now is we feel it's time to move on to number 2 Hercules, so we're swapping out number 1 and putting it in hibernation. She's running great. But number 2, which is a 0-time Hastings engine,
Right.
almost identical to the Halifax, it will be coming on to the engine run trailer, and then we'll tune it up. You've got to have your engines running, folks, before you ever attach them to the airframe.
That'd be nice.
So that's engine number 2. Engine number 3 is waiting in the wings, maybe a year from now.
Right.
We'll get that one up on the trailer and running. And it's no easy feat. What we're doing is switching Bristol Hercules. There's about 35 connections on the back of that engine.
Right.
And then there's timing and fuel. And so I'm quite pleased with that. So good progress all around, you know.
Absolutely.
I love to come here and work with you and do whatever jobs you say go. And I try and do it. And guess what? I haven't hurt my fingers yet.
We only had to open up the first aid kit once.
Yeah, that's
great.
right. So, folks, think about what we're doing here. If we have to go to England and get those outer wing panels, we don't have the funding right now to pay for the shipping.
Right. It's the shipping, right? That's the big
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
We have to go and pay for that engine down in Connecticut and haul it back. That is time and money. all of those parts, there's hundreds and hundreds of parts, has to come back, like maybe a couple or 3 tons of really rare parts have to come back in a container. And that's all costing money. So I'm afraid we're getting down to, folks, we need your help. And all of these major items to make a Halifax, a second Halifax for Canada, and you're listening to the guys that were on the team that got you the first one. So we hope you'll remember us, support us in that. Scott, is there anything you wanted to add about finances and donations, anything at all? Because you can tell we've got some serious restraints this summer on budgeting. Yeah, no,
it's hard not to impress upon the folks who are supporting and viewing, the cost and we do this. I do this for free, so I'm giving hundreds, if not thousands, of my hours over the years, for free. So I'm willing to step up, and I've made some investments in property and whatnot to support the project.
Yeah, but I'll buy you a beer once in a while. Is that a deal?
That's a deal. That's
okay,
a deal. Exactly.
Good.
So we're asking that you out there put the effort in as well. Help, and we know it's difficult. There's a lot of people looking for funding for a variety of well-intentioned projects out there. Just save a little bit for us, please, and please help us erect this memorial to our fallen airmen.
Sure. And folks, you got to remember, in the Canadian squadrons, 7 out of every 10 airmen that sacrificed his life in bomber combat was flying in the Halifax bomber. So it really is a national symbol of the Canadian contribution to World War II. And another thing that we have to be thinking of, and we're beginning this right now, we're having major conferences with the Royal Canadian Air Force, is the 100th birthday of the Royal Canadian Air Force is in 2024. And so we hope to work with the Royal Canadian Air Force. We've got this beautiful airplane that is no longer a dream, it's a reality and slowly building. We've got all these parts coming. And we just want to work with the Royal Canadian Air Force to get ourselves the dream machine, the Halifax 4 Bomber Command Museum of Canada, a national memorial. So,
with a little bit of support from the folks out there, we'll multiply that tenfold, right? We'll what's the right term? Power multiply that funding. For every dollar we get, we'll maximize every dollar we possibly can, right? So, and even just a small donation will go a long way to help us, even just keeping the heat and light on.
Yeah, that's right. So folks, we're here at Knox Tech. We're busting our buns to make sure that we have this national memorial aircraft, and we need your help. So just whatever you can donate. Remember, Halifax 57 Rescue is a registered charity. You will get your tax receipt. We have beautiful perks for you for every donation. And what more can I say? We leave no Halifax behind. Thank you.
Along with hundreds of recorded interviews, our group has been involved with the recovery of submerged aircraft from Norway, Belgium, Malta, England, and the Baltic Sea. Our Zoom show, airplanehunters.org, details these aircraft recoveries as we honor our veterans.
Hi everybody, Carl Kasgard reporting to you from Bomber Command Museum of Canada in Nanton, Alberta. And along with my colleague and buddy Scott Knox at the Rebuild Shop in Arnprior, Ontario, where we're doing all the Halifax bomber restoration. Welcome. We want to give you an update, and we're going to try the split screen today, show you this little program on our great progress. We're in the last month of 2021 in December, and we've made good, steady progress.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks a lot, everybody.
And never for more shall they be left behind.